Hello, I am Panos Kozathanasis and this is Bad Accent Video Reviews. Today we're going to talk about 1987, When the Day Comes, a 2017 film by Jang Joon-hwan, which a lot of people consider great, but I have a slightly different opinion. Before we go to the film, I would like to say a few more general things about it and also dwell a bit in the actual events that inspired the story. So, okay, as you already know, films inspired by true events seem to be one of the most prominent, most prevalent tendencies in global cinema nowadays, as the combination of a historic base and fiction has been quite popular during the last 2 decades. Jang Joon-hwan presents his effort in the category with a film based on the June Democratic Uprising, additionally inducing it with a number of popular concepts. Let us take things from the beginning, though, by presenting the history behind the film, as I just mentioned. So, regarding the actual events, the June struggle, also known as the June Democracy Movement and June Democratic Uprising, was a nationwide democracy movement in South Korea that generated mass protests from June 10 to June 29, 1987. The demonstrations forced the ruling government to hold elections and institute other democratic reforms, which led to the establishment of the Sixth Republic, the present-day government of South Korea. Indirect presidential elections took place next, and since the 1972 implementation of the Yusin Constitution by then-President Park Chung-hee, South Korean presidents were elected indirectly by an electoral college. This system persisted even after Park was assassinated and replaced by Choi Kyu-ha, who was himself replaced by Chun after the coup d'etat of December 12. Since the college was generally handpicked by the regime itself, it did not represent any sort of democratic check on presidential power. Seeking to enhance his domestic and international standing by providing a veneer of democratic representation, Chan held elections in 1985. The result was a major moral victory for the opposition, led by Kim Dae-jung and Kim Young-sam. The opposition's key demand was direct presidential elections, and Chan sought to foil this by initiating a campaign of delay, deliberation, and deferment. A parliamentary committee debated various proposals for months. On April 13, 1987, Chan suspended even this committee until after the Olympics. This action intensified unrest, but resulting demonstrations did not impress the regime, and Chan decided to continue his program to install Roh as his successor. Throughout this period, the labor movement, university students, and churches in particular joined in a mutually supporting alliance to put increasing pressure to the regime. This mobilized portion of civil society, in addition to the political opposition, formed the core of the resistance that would become generalized during the decisive events of June. The torture and death of Bak Jong-cheol happened in the 80s and was also another significant event in the whole history. In the 1980s, many student activists in universities struggled against Chan Do-hwan's dictatorship and the aftermath of the 1980 Gwangju massacre. Bak Jong-cheol, the president of the Student Council in the Linguistics Department of Seoul National University, was one of those students. Detained during an investigation into such activities, Park refused to confess the whereabouts of one of his fellow activists. During the interrogation, authorities used waterboarding techniques to torture him, eventually leading to his death on January 14. Information surrounding the events of Bak Jong-cheol's death was initially suppressed. However, the Catholic Priests Association for Justice revealed the truth to the public on May 18, further inflaming public sentiment. CPAG planned a June 10th demonstration in his honor. The death of Han Kin-hel was another crucial event. As demonstration intensified, students in Yonsei University swore to take the field and demonstrated at the university on June 9. During the protest, Yonsei student Yi Han-yeol was seriously injured when a tear gas grenade penetrated his skull. In critical condition, he quickly became a symbol of the subsequent protests over the ensuing weeks. He finally died of his wounds on July 5th, after the regime had agreed to the people's demands. Over 1.6 million citizens participated in his national funeral, held on July 9. He was buried at May 18th National Cemetery. If you remember, May 18th is another movie, another politically charged movie that deals with these events, but on a whole different level, focusing more on the torture we just mentioned. But let us talk now about the actual film. So 1987 begins with Bak Jong-cheol's death, as it introduces us to the members of the anti-communist branch of the police responsible for the tragedy and their efforts to cover it up. In their attempts, however, they stumble upon prosecutor Choi-hwan, who seems determined not to let them get their way. Eventually, the truth gets out, and protesters from all over the country get involved in a struggle that involves politicians, various police branches who even antagonize each other, the press, the church, the resistance, in quotes, and the student activists. The film ends with the death of Yi Han-yeol and the subsequent extensive protests. Jang Joon-hwan directs a film that begins as a political thriller through the battle between Choi-hwan, who wants justice to prevail and the public to know what is happening, and Commissioner Park Chae-won, the chief of the anti-communist branch, and his higher-ups, who tries to sweep the events under the rug. As the first win comes from the latter, the former tries to protect his men in any way he can, thus bringing more people to the equation. As the story progresses, the protagonists become even more, until we are introduced to Warden Han Byung-yong and his niece, Yeon-hee, who eventually becomes acquainted to Yi Han-yeol, who changes her whole perspective in life. The first part of the film, the political thriller one, is exceptional, with Jang's direction highlighting both the actual and the fictional events with elaborateness, building up the tension through a torrenting succession of events that result in the upper hand changing almost constantly. Through these events, Jang shows the despicable tactics of the then government quite eloquently. In this effort, he benefits the most from Yang Jin-mo's editing, who retains this relentless pace in quite entertaining fashion. However, and while the film had all the prerequisites of continuing and finishing as such, somewhere in the middle, Jang hits the reef of commerciality quite hard by inducing the narrative with unnecessary melodramatic moments and even more with a kind of teen romance that seems completely misplaced. The effort in making the film as popular as possible is supplemented by the cast, which includes the creme de la creme of the current Korean movie industry. And if the presence of Kim Hyun-seok as the Commissioner Park Seo-hon, Hang Jung-woo as Prosecutor Choi-hwan, and Yoo Ha-jin as Warden Han Byung-yong helps the narrative of the film, as all three are great in their parts, the same does not apply to Kim Tae-ri as Yeon-hee and Gang Dong-won as Yi Han-yeol, whose purpose seems to achieve only one goal: for the film to find some appeal with teenage girls through the romance. Add to that the presence of Sol Kyung-ho, Oh Dal-soo, and Moon So-ri, her voice actually, and you have a cast that would attract almost every demographic in the country. Through this approach of including a plethora of characters and their connection to the events, Jang seems to try to take the narrative away from people and to focus on the story. However, after a fashion, it becomes evident that he lost his sense of measure at some point. The depiction of the era is one of the movie's greatest assets, with Han Areum production design and Chai Kyung-ha and Ha Hyun-kyu's costumes providing accuracy in detail. Just watch the people wearing short-sleeve shirts and ties over their long-sleeve sweatshirts and the joy a Walkman can bring, and you will know what I mean. The action follows the lines of the Korean action thriller, with a number of impressive and occasionally quite violent scenes, which include both one-on-one and many against one sequences, where the cinematography and editing are once more exceptional. Lastly, the actual footage of the events in the end of the film is a very nice touch, as it connects the movie with history, although in combination with the epic and somewhat morose music seems again like an effort in sentimentalism. The events, on the other hand, justify this approach, to a point at least. 1987 When the Day Comes is an impressive production which includes almost every element of Korean cinema that has made it so popular internationally. However, everything that is bad about the country's movie industry at the moment is here also, essentially bringing the movie down and stripping of it the title of a great film. Thank you very much. That was another bad accent review. I hope you like it. And if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe, and hope to see you soon again. Have a nice day.